Let me tell you why people don't respect you. It's not because you're weak. It's not because you're not smart enough or successful enough. It's because they can read you. They see your desperation for approval. They feel your need to be liked. They sense your fear of conflict. And that's where you lose. Weak presence invites disrespect. The world doesn't listen to emotion. It doesn't care how hard you try or how good your intentions are. The world listens to power. Real power isn't loud. It doesn't beg. It doesn't explain. It's silent, calculated, and absolute. Think about the last time someone disrespected you. Maybe they ignored your message, talked over you in a meeting, made a joke at your expense. Why did they do it? Because they knew they could. Because something about your energy told them there would be no consequences. You don't gain respect by being nice. You gain it when people sense they can't move you, break you, or read you. When your presence alone makes them think twice before testing you. This video exposes Machiavelli's darkest power laws, the strategies that build a ruthless aura nobody can resist or control. These aren't motivational speeches. This is the raw psychology of dominance, the science of presence, and the path to becoming untouchable. Watch till the end, because the last principle changes everything. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I am unshakable. Number 1. The foundation of aura. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you second-guessed yourself in the middle of a conversation? When you wanted to say something but held back because you weren't sure how it would land? That hesitation, that's where your power dies. Power begins in stillness. Not physical stillness, mental stillness. When your mind is calm and convinced, everything about you changes. Your tone sharpens, your words carry weight, your silence becomes heavy. And people, without knowing why, start adjusting to your energy instead of the other way around. Most people destroy their own power by doubting themselves in silence. They walk into a room wondering if they belong there. They speak and immediately scan faces to see if anyone agrees. They act, then wait for validation. Machiavelli taught that uncertainty is an invitation for manipulation. When others sense you're unsure, they'll test you. They'll push boundaries. They'll speak over you, not because they're evil, because that's human nature. We instinctively follow those who seem certain and ignore those who seem lost. Machiavelli once said, "Men are won more by the eye than by the hand." Think about that. People don't follow you because you're physically stronger or louder. They follow what they see in your eyes. And the eyes of the uncertain wander. They dart around looking for approval, for permission, for a sign that they're doing okay. But the eyes of the certain, they command, they hold, they don't ask, they state. Here's the rule: never display hesitation. Even in confusion, act with conviction. Even when you don't have all the answers, move like your path is final. Speak less, move deliberately. Let every action feel intentional, not reactive. This doesn't mean you pretend to know everything. It means you own your decisions completely. When you choose, you commit. No apologies. No second-guessing out loud. No fishing for reassurance. That is the foundation of an aura no one questions. When you stop doubting yourself, others stop doubting you too. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I am certain. Number 2. The mask of controlled power. Now let's talk about the mask. You know what separates amateurs from masters? Amateurs show everything. Masters show nothing. Never let emotion show its face. I don't care how angry you are. I don't care how excited, how frustrated, or how hurt. The moment you reveal it, you hand others your control. Think about the last time someone got under your skin and you snapped. What happened? Did they back down? Maybe. But more likely, they learned exactly how to push your buttons next time. You gave them a map to your weaknesses. This is why you must learn the art of controlled expression, a steady tone, a composed posture, an unreadable face. Not because you're emotionless, you feel everything, but you choose what gets out. People respect mystery more than honesty. They follow calmness because it feels like dominance. When someone can't figure you out, they automatically assume you're more intelligent, more experienced, more dangerous than you might actually be. Machiavelli once said, "It is unnecessary to speak of everything you think." Read that again. You don't owe anyone access to your internal world. Your thoughts, your feelings, your plans, these are yours alone until you decide otherwise. When they can't read you, they fear misjudging you. And that fear becomes your invisible armor. Here's what this looks like in real life. Someone insults you in a meeting. Instead of defending yourself or firing back, you pause. You look at them calmly. Maybe you acknowledge it with a slight nod. Then you continue as if nothing happened. What just occurred? You didn't react. So they don't know if you're unbothered, if you're planning something, or if you simply didn't register it as worth your energy. That uncertainty makes them uncomfortable. Now they're the ones feeling exposed. The mask of controlled power means you become a mirror. People project onto you what they fear or respect, and you never correct them. You just watch, absorb, and move accordingly. Stop explaining yourself. Stop justifying your choices. Stop showing your hand before the game is over. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I am unreadable. Number 3, the calculated use of fear. Let's clear something up. You don't need to threaten anyone. You don't need to raise your voice, send aggressive messages, or make dramatic displays of power. You just need people to know. Disrespect has a cost. This is where most people get it wrong. They think power means aggression. They think being feared means being loud, intimidating, or cruel. But that's not fear. That's just noise. And noise gets tuned out. Real fear is quiet. Real fear comes from the sense that crossing you would be a mistake they can't undo. Never overreact, never shout. When someone disrespects you, don't match their energy. Instead, become colder, harder, distant. The kind of silence that makes others rethink their tone. People naturally fear what reacts less, not more. Think about it. When someone screams at you, you might be startled, but you also know they're emotional. Emotional people are predictable. You can wait them out. You can manipulate them. But when someone goes cold, when they pull back, stop engaging, and their expression goes blank, that's terrifying. Because now you don't know what they're thinking. You don't know what they're planning. You don't know if you just made an enemy who will quietly remove you from their life, or worse. Machiavelli once said, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." This doesn't mean hostility. It means presence that demands precision. It means people choose their words carefully around you because they sense you're not someone to test. Let me give you an example. Someone makes a disrespectful joke at your expense in a group setting. Everyone laughs. Here's what you don't do. Laugh along to seem cool or lash out defensively. Here's what you do. You let the laughter die down. Then you look at them, not angry, just present. You hold their gaze for a beat longer than comfortable. Then you change the subject or walk away. No explanation, no scene, just a shift in temperature. What just happened? You didn't entertain it. You didn't validate it. You marked it. And now that person and everyone who witnessed it knows you're not to be played with. Let others adjust themselves. Your calmness is the warning. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. My silence is power. Number 4. The art of emotional detachment. Here's a hard truth. Nothing weakens a person faster than emotional involvement. When you care too much about outcomes, you lose focus. When you invest emotionally in how things turn out, you lose clarity. When you let praise or criticism shake you, you lose your edge. You must reach a state where nothing disturbs your internal rhythm. Not insults, not praise, not loss, not victory. This is the highest level of power, when external events don't dictate your internal state. Most people are slaves to their emotions. Someone praises them, they're on top of the world. Someone criticizes them, they're destroyed. They wake up feeling good, so they're productive. They wake up feeling bad, so they're useless. That's not power. That's being controlled by circumstance. When you don't react, you control direction. When others seek a reaction and get silence, they lose power over you. They came with weapons, but you're not even fighting the same war. Machiavelli once said, "A wise man does at once what a fool does at last." What does this mean? The fool waits until emotions calm down to act rationally. The wise man is already rational. He doesn't need to wait because he's not controlled by feeling in the first place. Emotional detachment isn't coldness, it's strategy. It keeps your mind clean while others drown in their impulses. Here's how you build this. Start small. Someone cuts you off in traffic. Notice your anger, then let it go. Don't feed it. Someone doesn't text back. Notice your anxiety, then release it. Someone succeeds where you failed. Notice your envy, then dismiss it. You're training yourself to observe emotions without becoming them. You feel it, you acknowledge it, then you move on. No dwelling, no ruminating, no letting it dictate your next move. When you master this, you become dangerous. Because while everyone else is reacting emotionally, you're thinking clearly. While they're defending their ego, you're positioning strategically. While they're caught up in feelings, you're 3 moves ahead. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I am emotionally free. Number 5. The science of psychological leverage. Now we get into the real game, psychological leverage. True power doesn't need to be announced. It doesn't demand obedience. It quietly bends people's behavior through understanding their fears and motives. You gain influence not by force, but by positioning yourself in their mind as unchallengeable. And you do this through observation. Most people are too busy talking to pay attention. They're so focused on what they want to say next that they miss everything happening around them. But you watch, you listen, you study, you use observation as a weapon. You notice what makes people light up, what makes them defensive, what they're insecure about, what they're proud of, what they avoid talking about. And you don't use this information to please them. You use it to position yourself correctly in their mental landscape. Machiavelli once said, "The wise man does not expose himself to danger without reason." This applies to social dynamics perfectly. Don't reveal yourself unnecessarily. Don't share your plans before they're executed. Don't explain your strategy while you're still playing. You use silence as a mirror. They reveal themselves while you calculate. Here's an example. You're negotiating. Most people talk too much, trying to convince the other person. But you ask questions. You let them talk. You notice what they emphasize, what they dismiss, where they hesitate. Every word they say gives you data. Then, when you finally speak, you frame your position in terms of what you learned about them. You're not selling randomly. You're hitting precise psychological targets. This is how you control without commanding. People think they're making their own decisions, but you've shaped the environment in which they're deciding. You've influenced the frame. You've set the terms without them realizing it. Those who study emotion from a distance control those trapped inside it. That is psychological warfare, subtle, invisible, and absolute. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I see everything. Number 6. The discipline of ruthless boundaries. Let me tell you something that will change your life. Every time you tolerate disrespect, your aura dies a little. Every excuse you make for someone who mistreated you, every time you let something slide to keep the peace, every moment you explain why you deserve basic respect, you're teaching people you're negotiable. And negotiable people don't have auras. They have doormats stamped on their foreheads. Powerful people protect their space like territory. No negotiation, no apology, no explanation. When something violates your peace, end it immediately. Not with drama, not with long speeches about how hurt you are. You just end it. You remove yourself, you cut contact, you move on. When someone tests your silence, walk away permanently. 1 warning is generosity, 2 warnings is weakness. Machiavelli once said, "He who wishes to be obeyed must know how to command." And commanding starts with commanding yourself. It starts with having standards you will not lower, not for friendship, not for opportunity, not for loneliness. Boundaries are not arrogance. They're the mark of a ruler of self. They're the signal that you value your energy, your time, your peace more than you value being liked. Here's what this looks like. Someone repeatedly cancels plans with you. Most people keep forgiving, keep making excuses for them. But you? After the second time, you stop initiating. You don't confront them. You don't explain. You just quietly remove your effort. If they notice and ask, you're honest but brief. I don't chase people anymore. What just happened? You set a boundary without begging for respect. You showed through action that your time has value. And now they either rise to that standard or they disappear. Either way, you win. You are not here to be understood. You are here to be respected. And respect comes from self-respect first. Stop explaining your boundaries. Stop justifying why you won't tolerate certain behavior. Just enforce them silently and watch how quickly people adjust. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I am non-negotiable. Number 7. The power of strategic withdrawal. Sometimes the most powerful move is to simply disappear. Not dramatically, not with announcements or explanations. You just pull back your energy, your attention, your presence, and let people feel the void you leave behind. Most people make a critical mistake when they're disrespected. They stay and fight. They argue. They try to prove their worth. They keep showing up, hoping the other person will finally see their value. But that's exactly what kills your power. When someone takes you for granted, when they disrespect your time, when they treat your effort like it's worthless, your response shouldn't be confrontation. It should be absence. You don't explain. You don't send long messages about how hurt you are. You don't give them the satisfaction of knowing they affected you. You simply become unavailable, unreachable, uninterested. Machiavelli once said, "The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves." This means you need to be smart enough to recognize when someone is wasting your time and strong enough to walk away without looking back. Here's what happens when you withdraw strategically. The person who took you for granted suddenly notices your absence. They reach out. They apologize. They promise to do better. And here's the key. You don't rush back. You stay distant. You let them wonder if they've lost you permanently. This is psychological warfare at its finest. You're not attacking them. You're not punishing them with words. You're removing the one thing they didn't appreciate until it was gone: access to you. Think about it in practical terms. Someone constantly cancels plans with you. Instead of complaining or asking why, you stop making plans. They text you randomly expecting your usual quick response. You reply hours later or the next day with minimal effort. They invite you somewhere. You're suddenly busy. What just happened? You shifted the power dynamic without saying a single word about how they treated you. Now they're the ones wondering. They're the ones feeling uncertain. They're the ones trying to figure out what changed. This works in every area of life. At work, when someone doesn't value your contribution, stop contributing extra. Do exactly what's required, nothing more. Don't stay late. Don't volunteer for their projects. Let them handle things without you and watch them struggle. In relationships, when someone treats you like an option, remove yourself from their rotation completely. No explanations, no emotional speeches, just absence. Let them date other people. Let them live without your attention. See how quickly they realize what they had. The beauty of strategic withdrawal is that it protects your energy while teaching others your value. You're not being petty, you're being practical. You're investing your time and effort where it's appreciated, not where it's taken for granted. But here's the critical part. You can't withdraw and then come running back the moment they notice. That destroys everything. When you pull back, you stay back until you see real change, real effort, real recognition of what they lost. And sometimes you don't go back at all. Sometimes you realize your life is better without them. One act of strategic withdrawal will teach people more about your worth than 1,000 words ever could. Because talk is cheap, but absence is expensive. It costs them the comfort of having you around. It costs them the convenience of your availability. It costs them the security of knowing you'll always be there. Let people learn this lesson. You are not a guaranteed presence in their life. You are a privilege that can be revoked. And once revoked, it's not easily restored. This doesn't make you cold. It makes you valuable. And valuable things aren't available to everyone all the time. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My absence teaches. Number 8. The crown of untouchability. When all these traits merge, certainty, silence, discipline, and control, something extraordinary happens. You rise above ordinary behavior. You no longer chase approval. You no longer explain. You no longer react to every provocation or celebrate every small win. You move with quiet dominance because nothing within you trembles anymore, and people will sense it. They won't be able to name it, but they'll feel it. They'll measure their words around you, lower their tone, second-guess their approach. Not because you threatened them, but because your presence alone demands it. That is the aura no one can resist, the aura of total composure. Think about the people you've met who had this quality. They didn't need to announce their importance. They didn't need titles or loud voices. They just existed at a different frequency, and everyone else adjusted. That can be you. But it requires commitment. It requires you to stop seeking external validation and start building internal certainty. It requires you to train yourself out of emotional reactivity. It requires you to set boundaries others will call harsh and maintain them anyway. Machiavelli once said, "Fortune favors the bold." But boldness isn't recklessness. It's the courage to stand alone in your principles when everyone else is compromising theirs. You don't become untouchable by avoiding pain. You become untouchable by mastering it. by walking through discomfort without flinching, by losing without breaking, by being insulted without defending, by being tested without cracking. This is the crown of untouchability, the ability to remain yourself regardless of external pressure. And when you reach this state, you'll notice something strange. People who used to challenge you will suddenly respect you. People who dismissed you will seek your opinion. People who overlooked you will feel your absence. Because you stopped playing their game, you stopped needing their approval, and in doing so, you became the most powerful piece on the board. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I am untouchable. So here's the truth about power. It isn't about being aggressive, it's about being unmoved. In a world of noise, silence becomes intimidation. In a world of reaction, stillness becomes control. In a world where everyone is desperate to be seen, the person who doesn't need attention becomes magnetic. You don't need permission to be respected. You don't need a title, a degree, or someone's approval. You only need discipline and the courage to stand alone in your certainty. Most people will never understand this. They'll keep chasing validation, reacting emotionally, tolerating disrespect, and wondering why they're not taken seriously. But you, if you've watched this far, you're already different. You're already willing to do what others won't. You're already building something most people are too afraid to attempt. If this video resonated with you, drop a like. Share it with someone who needs to hear this message. And subscribe to this channel, because we're going deeper into power dynamics, human psychology, and the strategies that actually work in the real world. Drop this final affirmation in the comments. My aura is untouchable. Remember, the world rewards strength, not fairness. It respects boundaries, not kindness. It follows certainty, not doubt. Stay ruthless. Stay calm. Stay above emotion. Your aura is being built right now with every choice you make. Make it count.